Welcome to my channel Echoes of Crime. The story is titled Buried Truth. The sun hadn't yet risen when the flashing red and blue lights cut through the quiet streets of Riverton, Alabama. In a small, worn-down house on the corner of Ashwood Drive, 17-year-old Marcus Hale awoke to the deafening sound of his front door splintering. Before he could make sense of what was happening, armed officers stormed his room, shouting commands he couldn't even process. Hands yanked him from his bed, cold steel cuffs locked around his wrists, and fear choked his voice. Marcus was a good kid, a star student, captain of his high school basketball team, and someone who spent most of his time either studying or helping his mom care for his younger siblings. But to the police that night, none of that mattered. The only thing they saw was a black teenager they believed fit the description of a suspect in a violent armed robbery that had occurred just hours before. Marcus pleaded, "You've got the wrong person. I was home studying for exams. Ask my mom. Ask anyone." But his words were drowned out by the slam of the police car door, the arrest and the lie. At the station, Marcus was interrogated for 16 straight hours without a lawyer or his parents present. He was told over and over, "We have evidence against you. You might as well confess." But there was no evidence. The truth? The robbery had been caught on a grainy surveillance camera, and the suspect's face wasn't even clear. The police simply needed someone to blame to calm the community, and Marcus was convenient. In Riverton, cases weren't about justice. They were about numbers. Convictions meant promotions, and closing cases meant more funding. The trial that was never fair. Marcus's trial began 3 months later. His family had sold nearly everything they owned to afford legal fees, but it still wasn't enough. The court appointed an overworked public defender who juggled dozens of cases at once. The prosecutor presented Marcus as a dangerous young man from a crime-ridden neighborhood, painting a picture of someone who had been on a dark path for years. The fact that Marcus had no criminal record, a 4.0 GPA, and countless teachers willing to testify for his character was brushed aside. The evidence? A blurry photo, a shaky eyewitness who said, "I think it was him," and the word of 2 officers who had their own reputations to protect. Marcus's lawyer barely cross-examined the witnesses. He didn't bring up Marcus's alibi. His mother, siblings, and neighbors who knew he'd been home all night weren't even called to testify. The trial lasted just 2 days. The jury deliberated for less than an hour. When the foreman stood and said the word guilty, Marcus's world shattered. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison without the possibility of parole for at least 15 years. His mother collapsed in tears. Marcus's father shouted, "This isn't justice," as bailiffs dragged him out of the courtroom. But no one listened. Life behind bars. Prison was a nightmare Marcus never could have imagined. Gone were the dreams of college, basketball, and designing buildings as an architect. Each day became a battle for survival, physically and mentally. He endured fights, abuse, and isolation. The walls of his cell became his only constant companions. Letters from his mother were his lifeline, each one filled with faith and love, though he could sense the pain between her words. Marcus began to lose hope. He often stared at the ceiling at night, whispering to himself, "Why me? Why did they choose me?" A family's silent fight. Outside the prison walls, Marcus's family never stopped fighting. His mother worked 2 jobs to keep the lights on while pouring every spare moment into writing letters to lawyers, nonprofits, and journalists. Most never responded. Those who did simply said, "There's nothing we can do." Neighbors who once celebrated Marcus's basketball victories slowly drifted away. Some believed the lies. Others were too afraid to speak up. The Hale family became isolated, branded as a family of a criminal. A ray of hope. 10 long years passed before a breakthrough came. A nonprofit organization dedicated to overturning wrongful convictions reviewed Marcus's case. Their investigators discovered shocking truths. DNA evidence from the robbery scene had been collected but never tested. The real perpetrator, a known repeat offender, had been arrested for another robbery while Marcus was already in prison. Police officers had altered reports to match their narrative, conveniently losing witness statements that proved Marcus's innocence. With this new evidence, Marcus's case was brought back to court. For the first time, real justice was served. The charges were overturned, and Marcus walked free. Freedom with scars. But freedom didn't feel like freedom. Marcus was now 27 years old, with a decade of his life stolen. His friends had moved on. His siblings had grown up without him, and his mother's hair had turned gray from years of stress and grief. The world he returned to was unrecognizable. Technology had advanced. His hometown had changed, and he felt like a stranger in his own life. The officers who framed him, the prosecutor who buried evidence, none faced consequences. Marcus realized that while he was free, the system that imprisoned him was still intact, ready to destroy another life. The echo of injustice, standing outside the prison gates on the day of his release. Marcus looked at the sunrise. It should have been a symbol of hope, but instead, it reminded him of everything he had lost. His story isn't just about one boy from Alabama. It's about thousands of innocent men and women trapped in a system that values convictions over truth, speed over justice, and statistics over humanity. Every wrongful conviction creates ripples of suffering, a mother's tears, a community's distrust, a future erased. These stories rarely make headlines, but they live on in the whispers of families, the cries of the falsely imprisoned, and the quiet despair of those who know the system is broken. They live on in echoes of crime. Closing narration. When justice is buried beneath lies and prejudice, innocence becomes invisible. And if we remain silent, the cycle of injustice will continue to echo for generations to come. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, share, comment, and like.